we doing? Thanks for coming back to Clay on Live. We are at episode 7, I believe it is, Craft or Consistency, and I am joined by Phil and Joe as usual. So go ahead and get over to them.
Clay.
Hey.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing good.
Good.
Good and strong. He sounds good. On that mic he's never used before.
I put a 50th anniversary B&H red pop filter on to match my background.
It looks good. So how's everybody's last couple weeks been?
Busy.
Yeah.
Busy, rough,
Good.
busy.
Yeah.
Lots of work.
I've been busy with some personal stuff with my wife's mom and getting that taken care of, and that was still going on today. Because we go when we can. So
I've been busy with lots and lots of, my kids and then my students. So we're right in the middle of academic advising, and I've got 50 majors and 80 minors of different varieties that I'm trying to get ready for next semester. So it's a very busy time of year.
How was the advice that I gave? Did you use it?
It was on. I pulled it up in the room.
They were watching it?
Yeah. It was at the very end of my class, and they were all doing something else. So I just pulled it up. I asked the question, and then when you guys started to answer, I just said, watch this. So yeah.
So, Clay, were you advising his class?
Apparently, yeah.
That's fun. That was we have several universities here in San Diego, and that was one of my favorite things to do when I was at Sony. You go down and you would speak to people, people in senior year or whatever, about or wanted to do what you did for a career. It was so cool. And then of course they'd inevitably ask, "So when did you graduate college?" And I would say, "Didn't."
Next question. And why is that such an embarrassing thing to?
It's not embarrassing for me, because my opinion is that you don't need a college degree to do what I did for a living, and what most of them that wanted to do what I did for a living, but everybody's different. Most people don't end up doing what they, get a degree in.
I don't know if I told this story to you guys before, online or off, but when I first moved to the Cleveland area, I had a neighbor. And, we'd talk over the fence, got to know him pretty well over the years. And he worked at NASA. And finally I said, "Hey, where did you go to school?" He goes, "I didn't go to school." I go, "What?"
You work for NASA?
He's a NASA engineer.
What?
Didn't go to school. Just invented all kinds of stuff, tons of patents. And when NASA wanted to use this stuff, it was like, who is this guy? He's at the cutting edge of accelerometer technology. So, when you're trying to get a spaceship or something to slow down, he's like at the very cutting edge of accelerometers and decelerometers, and
with no college. So
sensors.
Mike Rowe graduate.
Yeah, he's a super genius.
I got to tell you though, lest anybody think we're telling you not to go to college. Go to college, get your degree.
Right.
Or something.
Or some type, even if it's vocational, get that
training. Try to pick something that you are interested in.
Yeah.
If you're a plumber, you'll never be out of work.
The only time I've ever regretted not finishing my senior year, because I went all the way through my junior year. I got into my senior year and I got offered a job, and so I was like, I'm gonna work, and I never looked back. But 10 years ago, when Sony laid me and 1,000 of my closest friends off, that degree would have been very helpful, because you get tossed out of the mill, just for not having it.
Yeah. It stopped me from a lot of advancements when I was working for Ryder. It was like, trucking.
Yeah.
And I was really good at what I was doing. I ended up going from a driver into working in the office, and then they had me going and doing startups at new accounts, but they would have me do the startup until they hired the manager. And I'm like, why can't I be the manager? And they're like, well, because you don't have a degree. And I'm like, but I'm going there and setting everything up. Like, I'm doing everything. I'm training your manager. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Rules are rules. And I'm like, all right.
See,
So,
it's the only time. It's the only time I regretted not having it. And I strongly urge anybody who's going to school, finish,
yeah,
finish quickly. Don't drag it out. Finish quickly. Get out there and just have that piece of paper because it's important.
it is. It definitely is. And I hear some of the things that Joe talks about, and then sometimes I go, man, I should have really went to school to be a teacher. I should have, because I enjoy sharing knowledge, especially if it's something I've done. If it's something that I'm confident in, I like, especially if somebody has a problem with something and I can explain something to them that maybe sheds some light or makes something easier, and they're like, oh wow, that was great. I'm like, yeah,
Well, YouTube being the
healing.
great equalizer, you are a good teacher, and this is your platform. And
Yeah,
frankly, I listen to you. I
yeah,
think
yeah. Well,
I think you're smart
yeah,
and know what you're talking about.
And if I ever have a question about trucking, I know who I'm going to call.
yeah,
Shit,
the,
you ever have a question about OBS or EV Mux
Oh, that
yeah,
too.
yeah.
or YouTube in general? I mean, you look at the difficulty I'm having just cranking out a video.
Get it? Yeah, get it. It's dude. I've been pushing you on that so
Yes, you
much
have.
because it's exciting.
I know.
Like I know what it was like for me,
Oh,
and you've got a little bit of a road ahead of you because
yeah.
the first I don't know I'm gonna say at least the first 20 videos they're probably gonna be garbage.
What's
You're not
interesting?
gonna like them,
What's interesting,
but you
Clay, is
have to
that
do them so that you start falling
yeah,
into a good rhythm.
it's not like I'm new to making video.
No, you're not.
I mean, I did it for a living, right?
But this is different. I get it.
Yeah, this isn't. Yeah, so I just need to get back in that mindset. Plus, I love doing this show, but I hate the fact that it says Philip at Geek Omelet, and anybody that goes there, there's no. So there's content coming. Which Clay and I were talking about this in front. So there's stuff in the can. So you'll see microphone reviews and other stuff coming. So be
Yeah.
patient.
Hey, King Paco, I'm glad you're here. Hope you're feeling better.
How you doing, Paco?
Hey, Paco.
So this tonight, what we're going to talk about? I didn't turn the music back on. Did I?
No, I don't hear it.
Oh, there it is. What we're talking about tonight is, it's Phil is spearheading this, but basically
God
the
help us.
differences or pros and cons, I guess, between hand-built microphones or products and what would you call it? Machine built, assembly line built,
Yeah.
like
Mass production versus
mass.
boutique, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The differences between those, and I think did this spark from that tube replacement that I was talking about?
No.
No, okay.
No, I was just racking my brain. I mean, it may have had some type of subtle influence, I guess.
Well, it was just
but
ironic that I was like, oh yeah, we were talking about maybe so that So anyway,
I was just looking for I was doing a brain map, mind map of
Yeah.
things to talk about, and that was one of the ones. And I'm a musician. I'm a guitar player, keyboard player, but guitars is where I come from. And also, I've spent my career in manufacturing on consumer electronics, and you can't get much more consumer electronics than a microphone.
Now.
Now, that's correct, but we're talking about now.
Now.
And that's actually something we should talk about, Joe, because as I was working through all this on my head about what's the argument. It's easy to frame it as should it be mass produced or bespoke, as those are the two kind of options, but they're really not. And I want to spend a couple minutes talking about sort of those two and what's in between, because and you may know this. Well, let's go. Let's talk about bespoke, truly handmade, right? Where the capsules are handmade, all the components are handmade by people, right? Not machines. True bespoke, like when I've got two custom-made guitars, right? That I purchased over the course of my guitar playing life, and these were truly handmade. Every component was made by the two different luthiers that I went to, right? That I don't know that does anybody make mics like that anymore? Because I think at a certain point there are machines that make the capsules, they may be run by a person, they may be loaded by a person, the membranes put on and everything, but the tolerances and the settings are dialed in. That's one of the ways they get consistency. Whereas back in the day, they sort of did everything by hand. I don't know.
I can think of two instances where I think that they're handmade because they kind of have, well, one instance where they're handmade because they have to be, and they show up in price, which is the most of the ribbons. The ribbons are so incredibly fragile that those the Royers, right? They're expensive and they're lovely. I'm not gonna, but I think that ribbons are one of those places
that are handmade.
Because it's just, you just can't have a machine do that. Maybe you could, except I think it'd be more expensive to try to create a machine to create the ribbon and install it than it would be to have a talented person do it. And I'm not sure. I don't know. It'd be an interesting question to ask them. But I think also Neumann, I think that they still hand make their capsules. And I think that there's a video out there showing people hand making their capsules.
I think I've seen that.
Which is one of the reasons why they're so expensive.
But aren't they using machines that are, when they're, I mean, yes, they're using a person.
I mean, I think they've got a widget that's holding the capsule, and then someone puts the Mylar on, and then, but I mean, at what point, if you use tools, is it handmade? I mean, I'm not sure when that demarcation point. I don't know when that demarcation, as opposed to you fill all the hoppers and you've got capsules getting kicked out the other end, right? I mean, where it's completely automated. I don't know, right? Because I'm sure that the back plates are probably run through some kind of CNC. I would think the CNC machine, but I believe the assembly of the capsule and the Mylar is still done by hand. I don't know that, but the last time I checked that was the case.
But there are industries where you have to differentiate, like in the tool industry, power tool industry, DeWalt or Stanley Black & Decker, for their factories. I don't even know if it's open anymore in Texas, but they had a factory in Texas, and they had to legally say hand assembled, right? Because all the components came from overseas. They were all made in factories overseas, probably by people too. Because I want to stress this. Even at Sony, with our camcorders, the lines were run by people. I mean, the lines that put together. Do I have a camera here? I don't have a camera handy. I can click it. But the Alpha cameras. There are like, I don't know, 20 or 30 workstations. Where that's the assembly line, and the components come in, and one guy takes the back plate, he puts the PCB in, he passes it off to the next person who does, I don't know, the sensor, and it's all done by a person, right? But those are hand assembled because the core components are built by machine. So does that matter in microphones? Does anybody really care? Am I being just over picky? I don't know.
Well, certainly, there was a time where you could get nichrome wire and hand wind your own resistors. That's true. I don't know that caps. Caps must have been hand packed at one time when they were made out of foil and wax paper, right? Back in 100 years ago. But I think that one of the things. I mean, I think that when you're talking about components, one of the things you can get if you design your machines correctly is consistency, quality, and drop in price. Making capacitors, for example, or making resistors or transistors, you can get a lot more of those made and can save yourself a lot of money. If we take that to microphones, though, if we're a microphone company and we're buying capacitors, transistors, resistors, one of the ways that we might, whether they're hand produced or we have a machine dropping components into a printed circuit board, one of the things that we can do to save money is buy the cheaper components where the tolerances aren't so good.
Right.
Right. So you've got a wider, are these resistors 5% tolerance, 10% tolerance, 15% tolerance? Same with capacitors, same with inductors. And if you're skimping on those costs, you might end up with a lemon microphone because you just happen to get one where all of the consistency is gone in those elements. I just a couple days ago I watched Tom Buck. He did a Q&A, and he was talking about the worst microphone he has. And he says, in a lot of people, I think it was a newer NWC 800 or something. It's one of those, it was like $16 or $17 condenser. And he says he just hates it. It sounds terrible, but people will tell him, I have one and it sounds good. And I think that that's one of the problems is the person saying that may not know what a good microphone sounds like, if I wanted to be cynical or even crass. But the reality is that occasionally you can get a cheap microphone that sounds really good. I think the flip side of that is most MXL microphones, most people think sound better than their price would indicate, but not all of them do. But they're a budget brand, right? And they probably skimp on the tolerance. I'm not saying they do. I'm just saying they probably, as a budget brand, they probably skimp on the tolerances of the components that go in there. Don't know, just a guess, right? And the microphones that are handmade sometimes do not have the same level of consistency because, consistency is one measure of quality. Budweiser is one of the best beers in the world, not because I drink it, but because it's consistent, right? I mean, that's one of the, when things are measured, consistency is one of the things. I didn't even realize I was wearing my Pabst Blue Ribbon hat and I'm talking about Budweiser. Kind of a joke. But the idea is it's very consistent. So, but the idea is that when you have a microphone manufacturer, and like, I'll just say any boutique brand or any expensive brand, that most of them are handmade, you do introduce the human element. And as it was explained to me a long time ago, is that if I sit down and I make 10 microphones, even with good components, there might be more inconsistency in my microphones than you would get off an assembly line, just because that assembly line does create some consistency.
The exact same thing every single time.
So what the good manufacturers will do is they'll take all the 10 microphones I assembled this afternoon and go, these 5 are good enough. These other 5 are going to get taken apart. We're going to throw the PCBs away, and we're going to start over with the parts that we know that are still okay. But the 5 that are okay are going to be sold at the price of double because I'm still getting paid to make those microphones. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. The really expensive boutique brands with really high QC have to charge for the microphones they reject. Mm-hmm. That gets passed on to the consumer.
Right. You're paying for that QC. I can tell you again, as a manufacturer, it's like, having worked for a manufacturer, that's one of the first places when they're looking to reduce costs and increase margin. The question is, okay, do we test every panel coming off the line? Well, how much money do we save if we just test 1 in 10? Well, how money do we save if after a year we test 1 in 20 or 30? It's a huge savings, and we save that kind of QC for the more expensive products.
Right. And I've got capsules that come with the frequency response curve that was tested before it left someone's bench. Mm-hmm. I've got microphones with the frequency response curve that it was tested, and that costs money, but it is really high QC, quality control.
I just finished reviewing a projector that every single one comes from the factory with a hand calibrated report every single one, written by hand. Here it is in an envelope. There you go. Be proud. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and you pay for that. You pay for that. And you got to, the question I want to ask is that, I mean, at a certain point, it's about you're trying to get consistency. When Soyuz, who
Mm-hmm.
hand makes their microphones, all their components, their capsules, they're not building it. You know, you don't pay Soyuz for a microphone and they begin crafting your microphone. They're grabbing capsules out of a bin that they've handmade those capsules. You know, a person did it, and they've gone in and they've quality controlled or quality tested those capsules to make sure that they're performing within range, right? Um, Versus what if they just did it up front and did it fully by machine, where all those tolerances, it's part of the production process and a machine is testing it. Is it really a better product if it's being done up front or after the fact? Mm. I get the feeling that with these high end bespoke microphones, hey, I'd love to have a Soyuz microphone in my mic locker, but I don't think every Soyuz sounds identical, and I think that's actually a feature. You know, it's by design. It is the I don't know, the handmade nature of it is that there's going to be some variance involved. I mean, how many mic reviewers have said it's, most of the time, a lot of the microphones that were designed to be perfectly flat or whatever, they didn't. There was some kind of noise at the high end. It's that noise that people learn to cherish about the microphone, right? So I guess if you're buying a high end Soyuz microphone, as long as it's within a range of tolerances, you expect that maybe it's going to sound a little bit different than the other one on the line, because that's sort of the nature of bespoke, right?
And,
You're
and I think most people wouldn't care unless they're looking for a matched pair,
right, but they'll
which is,
they'll charge you for a map pair too. They'll go in and
oh,
they'll
yeah.
test and find.
Oh, no. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Or you've got brands like Lewitt that are their tolerances are so tight they don't have to worry about it. Every single microphone that comes off the line is matched.
I don't know if you saw MEI Studios. He did one of his videos on the, I think it was just a 57, and I'm not sure if he was doing other things, but the part that sticks in my head is he compared SM57s, and he was also comparing new one with really, really very old ones.
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't exact matches, but they were really, really consistent. You know, as consistent as any two mics would be after they've been used for a while,
Mm-hmm.
right? I know that I've heard about studios knowing the character of their microphones, so even if they had a couple of Neumann, U67s, this one would be good for this person, and that would be good for that person, or this one would be good for this instrument, because over the years their character changed as well. And that's the real hard part too, is you're talking about brand new microphones, and then they start being used and abused and used and abused. And it's very difficult to talk about quality after, and I've said this before, over some, certain amount of time, just because things change.
Yeah.
But what you say there, Joe, reminds me to bring. Sorry to keep bringing it back to guitars, but it's the difference. I'm a big fan of Taylor guitars, Bob Taylor guitars. I've got 3 of them in my guitar locker. I don't know. And
In the parlor.
There was a point in in my closet right now, because with my shoulder nerve damage, it's hard to play the guitar anymore. But however, there was a point where I was trying to decide between a Martin, relatively high end Martin guitar, and a Taylor guitar, and I ended up going with a Taylor because for me, I I like the fact, I don't want to speak for Bob Taylor, but paraphrasing his philosophy is that when you fall in love with one of my guitars, it should sound pretty much the way it did 20 years down the line as it did that first year. There's going to be some change, but when you buy a Martin guitar, it is a given that that guitar is, they talk about it like it's wine. It's going to age and it's going to take on new characteristics. And people look for that. They're like, yeah, I want that. But when I fall in love with a guitar, when I fell in love with that sound, I want to keep that sound that I fell in love with as long as possible.
Right.
And that's why you buy a Taylor guitar, because they do things to lock that in, right?
And I think that's one of the things we haven't mentioned yet is the relationship we have to our stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and what journey we want to have with guitars or microphones or whatever. It's interesting because over the years the microphones are the only things that have really stayed consistent. Editing has changed so much and recording has changed so much, and I'm assuming we're going to be consistent for a little while. But distribution, of vinyl, CD, AM, FM radio, cassettes, distribution has changed so much, that those things keep changing. But again, the microphones that have been around for 23, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years have not changed that much, but they've aged.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's the thing with that. Yeah, you might be interested in this, and if I can find it, I'll send it to you. But I read something about some guitars that were caught in a flood, and after they dried out, everyone just thought that you were going to be garbage, and everyone absolutely adored the way they sounded after they after they had been abused. It's kind of like Willie Nelson's guitar.
Right.
Have you ever seen a guitar that's a bigger mess than that? And it's his sound. It is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Willie Nelson pioneered more than one sound hole long before it was designed.
Right.
It's funny you mentioned that. I don't want to make this about guitars, bring it back down, but I'm the one that brought it up. But the whole thing about the guitars that got wet, old growth wood is harder and harder to get, right? And it's more and more expensive, especially handmade guitars. We're talking about $20,000, $30,000 now. Whereas when I had my last handmade guitar, it was like $5,000, and at the time that was expensive. The thing is that old growth wood is hard to get, and the tone wood, and so they're doing these things now. They have been for years, where they're going to the big rivers that they sent all these logs. No longer work in these forests anymore, and a certain percentage of logs sink to the bottom. And so there's a whole business in Lake Erie and stuff. They're bringing logs up,
Lake
drying them
Erie,
out.
Lake
Yeah.
Superior.
Yeah.
The lake where my cabin is one section of it is a wooden bottom, full of logs and wood that's sunk. Yeah. It's really weird and really surreal, but also very beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. They're going in, they're harvesting those and it's a competition still between, guitar is way down the list. Furniture manufacturers are the ones that are spending big amounts of money. All interesting stories. I could talk about it till the cows come home, but I want to flip this a little bit, because you said that, microphones haven't changed, and I agree. But what has changed is the customers. More people want to buy them, and there are more manufacturers making them. And people that are using YouTube to try and help make their purchase decision, I think, this is just my opinion, but I think if you ask most of them and they thought about it, they would say that consistency of sound is probably way up there, because they're listening to Clay, they're listening to you, they're going to hopefully be listening to me talk about, I like this microphone and this is why. This is what I find particular about it. This is what I find pleasing about it. This is how it sounds in my voice, and your voice might be similar to my voice. So, if they make a purchase decision based upon what they see on YouTube and the mic that they get isn't consistent with what they heard, then they're probably not going to be happy. I think the majority. So that's a huge change, where it used to be when I started buying microphones, I'd go into a music store and I'd play around them on an amp that was
try them
similar
out,
to my amp or my PA system.
But and we talked about this a few weeks ago too, but the number of people buying mics was so much smaller before YouTube. It was there was broadcasting and a tiny home studio market, and then bands gigging, and that's it.
That
Right.
I
that was
mean,
completely it. Radio people in radio and yeah.
and music, and that yeah. So the number of people buying mics now is so much larger than it was in the past, which is why all these manufacturers have come along to fill that need.
Yep. And
Yeah.
more coming, more coming. Even traditional manufacturers like Shure are. I remember early on when our first time we did this, we were talking about how a lot of the newer mic manufacturers are literally getting on a typical consumer electronics production cycle. Every year there's new models, right?
Hmm.
And that wasn't so much the priority for brands like Shure, but now Shure is they've increased their output, they've increased their lines, and they're I don't think they're on a yearly cycle yet, but they're certainly on a more frequent production cycle, introducing new models to keep interest up. I think
Yeah.
so much so that some of the products they're introducing are maybe a design change, but from a core technology, probably not hugely different than other things
Sound the
that have been out
same,
there.
yeah.
But that's the game you got to play. People expect innovation on a regular basis, and if you're not seen as innovating, you're seen as stagnant and old and not, you know, not fine
You're
and
seen you're seen as
no
electro
no.
you're seen as Electro Voice.
You're
Do you
seen as a
think though
dinosaur. Well,
it's
Electro
possible that
voices,
like
yeah.
those companies are still going to thrive in the industry that they were before all these cheaper companies and the cheaper companies are the ones that are coming up with new stuff.
Hmm.
What are we looking at every 6 months?
Yeah.
We got like 2 or 3 microphones from Fine just in between like this time 2024 to now.
And Clay, to be honest, I don't know because I'm watching you review the mics,
Yeah.
and so I'm not sure because I'm not in contact with the manufacturers. I'm just consuming YouTube videos.
Hmm.
But you're right, there seems to be a lot.
Well, like
And
well
then but the small wireless microphones, it seems like there's one that comes out every Tuesday.
yeah,
And I'm not sure if that's true or not, or just
like the little lav mics.
my warped perception, because it seems like every time I turn on the computer, Bark is doing another video about a small clip-on or magnet mount lav mic. There just seems to be dozens of them, and maybe he's just catching up with the
So
microphone reviews that he's had over time. But it does seem like there's just a lot of stuff out there.
just real quick to give you an idea, okay? From let me just find the right way to read this. 2024. Okay. January 9th, 2024, tank 1. Okay. November 28th, 2024. I'm sorry, that's the tank 1. Tank 3 is January 9th, 2020. So that's 2 in 1 year. Okay. Uh Tank 2, January 30th, 2025. Or no, I'm sorry, June 30th. Tank 6, June 30th was when we got the Tank 2. July 22nd, 2025 is when we got the Tank 6. So, I mean, that's in a 1 year span. There's 4 microphones that have
And
come out.
those are all the tanks,
Those
right?
are
Well,
all the tanks.
And
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
when did the 699D come out? Because that was the microphone that
Well,
introduced most of us to that
yeah,
product line, right?
I don't have the
I I
exact
could
date on
I
that
could
one.
I could look it up too.
Well, they don't have them all on there, so
So
you might get an estimate.
Oh, yeah, I could
having
probably get,
yeah, having come from an industry of a consumer electronics company, I'm less impressed by the staggered introduction schedule, because the fact is that there's nothing unusual about that. Yet Sony, we introduced televisions at a minimum twice a year, right? You got announcements of entry level price point televisions in January at CES. Then there was another spate of the higher end stuff that came out in April May timeframe,
Right.
sometimes more. But the question is how often are they end of lifing the models? So I just looked up the Tank 3, right, which is I don't think the Tank 3 is considered a current microphone. It might still be, but I think it's been replaced now. That was introduced in early 2024.
Yep.
So what, a year later, the Tank, was it November?
Almost 2 years.
Yeah, okay. So they actually may not be on a yearly production cycle, but they're certainly producing at a higher rate. They're innovating and introducing more new model numbers and end of lifing older model numbers
Well,
at a higher
my
rate
point
than Shure is. And
my point with it wasn't even, what their rate is or how many they're coming up with. It's just the idea that the market for people in this genre, this space, is gonna keep thriving with those brands, and the brands like Rode and Shure and Neumann and all those RE20, they're still gonna be selling to the people that they were selling to before. They're just not gonna be if they don't innovate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I mean that's why the Shure PG48 exists. That's why, or the SM48, the PG48. They've got quite a few sub $100 XLR microphones in their mix. That don't perform up to the level of, say, an SM58. They've got more handling noise. They're having to take things out to get the price down, but they're feeling the encroachment of these brands. Like Fine and like Mono and like Bifaley and others. And they want that business. They want that business. I remember when Sony used to be a premium television brand, and I remember when we got into technology, we said we never would. And when I was like, why are we doing this? And it was like, because we're not making enough money, and the lower end is where the dollars are at. That's where most customers are at. That's where the opportunities are. There just aren't enough customers for the higher end stuff. Yeah, I think anything that drives innovation, I welcome everything that Fine and Mono and Bifaley and all the other new brands newer brands are doing. I think it drives innovation. You have to, and they don't make crap. They're just hitting a price point, right? I mean, they're building I think the impressive stuff for the price they're selling at.
I still can't help asking myself the question with mics like this is like we all admit they sound pretty good, right?
Yeah.
And they're cheaper.
Yeah.
What is the limitation? What is lacking? Because they're all like, how many? We're not even talking about 10 years yet. 2 years, 5 years.
Consistency is one of the things. I mean, I don't think anybody's doing testing like this, but I feel pretty confident when I say that, if you were to go buy 10 Tank 1s, you'd probably find more variance in the way they sound. Again, that's a ballsy thing to say, but I think that's the case based on my experience with lower cost electronics.
Well, I'd say it has to be your guess has to be pretty accurate because they're pumping them out a lot faster. They're more quantities. You know what I mean? Larger. Because I think that this space has a larger, I don't want to say audience, but like a larger group that's purchasing than like in radio and things like that, because you've got thousands and thousands of people, millions of people all buying these things.
Mm-hmm. And I think, well, I mean, look at the Mono PD 200W that just came out. I was all excited about that. It really was. Although I'm going to correct the entire review group. It is not the first wireless dynamic microphone. That honor belongs to the Comica D10 Pro. But regardless, but
so that's not an old microphone.
No, this last year. Actually, not even last year.
I just got offered to do a review for that, and I turned it down because it's not from Comica. It's from somebody else.
plastic body. That's about my biggest
I don't know.
complaint.
I was like,
Here's the thing, though. We're talking about differences. I liked the Mano PD 200X. I have one. I haven't opened it up yet. I want to do a review of it. It's actually a nice little microphone. I was shocked to see Bark and several other reviewers talk about the USB headphone output lag. The latency, thank you. And on the W. And I'm like, why? Because there was no latency on the 200, which is essentially the same microphone. So I don't think they designed it that way on purpose. I think they started producing it and it probably came to light and they went, nah, it's $100.
Yeah.
You know,
or
we're
it's
not going to sell any less of them. We'll just tell them not to use it in USB mode.
Or it's the consistency problem, and it's not designed that way, but some of the components are not great.
Right. Not consistent.
Maybe it's a deal breaker for me, not to make this a review of the W. But I just like, why? There's no reason for that. But then again, if you're not being consistent, if you're not paying attention at that level, and why would they? It's $100 microphone, full pop, before it goes on sale. It's $100 microphone. That's wireless. I mean, good God. But yeah, so I think that's one of the things I believe that's a consistency thing. I don't think there's a world where Mayano said, let's design it that way. That's okay.
No. Yeah, no.
You know,
even at a cheaper brand and cheaper, no, nobody would do that.
yeah. And you know, actually, honestly, that's a problem with the Comica too. It's also got a headphone latency, and I think it has it in more than just the USB mode. But you know,
and it's got options for wireless too. So,
but why would you build a microphone with headphone monitoring on it and not have it be low or no latency? Why?
I don't know.
Anyway,
I haven't. So I don't think any of the fine ones that I had, like the USB, and I'm only saying USB because that's when you notice you would notice the latency. I don't think any of them had it. They all were pretty good.
I went looking for it. I haven't heard anybody, including people like Bark, who he just cannot stand, and I don't blame him, latency. He will stop reviewing a product. I love it. He's like, no, sounds like a robot. I'm done. You know, and he's finished.
Interfaces is different. They all have it, and it's well. Actually, I shouldn't even say that because the SC1 did not have latency.
My Vocaster has no latency.
No. I'm talking about theirs.
Oh, theirs. Yeah.
The SC1 didn't have it. The SC3 did, and the SC8 did not.
No, actually, the SC1 he complained about it. Said it sounded robotic, and it was.
No, mine doesn't.
Maybe that's that consist. There we go. That's that.
Yep.
His did.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna second. Excuse me. Lingering cold. I'm not gonna second guess anyone, but I have to sometimes wonder if some people sometimes make a mistake and don't have their DAW doesn't, loop back so they're hearing themselves and their DAW. Because I know that's a thing.
I know that happened with me with that virtual audio device, and I thought my Vocaster was no longer usable, and that's what it was.
Yeah, so I've just heard people say things about certain like I had someone plugged in they're doing a review about the Yeti, but I already knew that they hated the Yeti. So, but one of the things that they plugged it in, and they couldn't get the levels to it was always too loud. So it's okay. So it's either the bad microphone or you've got bad settings. But that's not consistent against all of them.
Yeah.
So it's if you've got and I've seen Bart get a microphone. He goes, "This is obviously broken. I'm not going to do a review on this. I'll wait until I get another one." because he knows it's broken. So there's that too, right? Knowing enough about your system or your gear to know that there's a problem with it. Anyway,
I've seen enough reviews of the W now, though. I went looking for it where, you know, I get it. A lot of these reviewers that pointed out the latency, they know what they're doing.
oh no, I wasn't speaking about that. I'm just talking in general. In
Oh,
general, I know that some people
Yeah.
are probably making mistakes.
so what I'm saying, Joe, is you're wrong and I'm
I
right.
I know you're right. I know you're right.
Philip is always right.
No.
But I've never
Sadly,
had that problem.
What's that? What problem?
I've never had the problem of latency in my headphones, but that partly because I'm not dealing with low quality interfaces,
Right,
That's right.
right,
You're
right.
using
and
XLR.
I know how to use mix minus correctly. So
So is that possibly something that keeps a device from being a premium? Is that what's in the way? Is that what's lacking when you get these like these audio interfaces that have all this latency? Is that what's making them so much cheaper? Is that something that they're not going to be able to get away from without jacking the price way up?
No, I've got a $10 USB microphone that has no latency. It's all plastic, you know, but I bought it for $10 off of Amazon, and there's no
yeah,
latency in that.
I think it's a design flaw.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of these,
Joe-
and to our point earlier about people making, the people manufacturing things and getting on this wave.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of companies who have just decided to jump on this bandwagon, and they don't really know what they're doing.
Right.
So
No, I totally agree with that. I don't think I've got anything in here that's a product of that, but I can see it. I mean, maybe interfaces when it comes to Fine. Their microphones to me surpass their interfaces.
right.
Yeah.
Right, and one of the things I said to both Bark and Bronson really early on, because they're so good at like rating microphones, and I told them, I says, you need to come up with a different category, which is the toy category. This is good for your 8-year-old or 9-year-old or 10-year-old who wants to play radio. When they get to 14, if they're still making stuff, then buy them something real.
Yeah.
If you're going to get a whole setup for $40 for Christmas, it goes in the toy category. You know what I'm saying? Is I think that
Right.
there's also some of the stuff is so cheap and has features like all the voices and stuff. I don't know who's using that except for a kid.
Those are selling features. They're not using
Gamers.
features.
Gamers.
Maybe, yeah, gamers.
Yeah,
well,
maybe.
gamers are kids, right? Yeah.
Have you ever watched their promotional ads or like their reels and their story, like their their shorts for Fine? You go look for a few just
I've been
because,
on their website. Yeah.
and you'll see where that fits into what you just said, because they are very anime-esque. There's all these weird little noises and and I'm like, what?
I've said it before.
I love, but they're I don't know.
I think when a company like Fine or Mono or decides to make a performance microphone, that excites me. I'd like to right now, Fine. I'd like to be a product manager just on your high-end stuff. I'll help you make a high-end microphone. Not that any of my help, but yeah.
But does a company like Fine even have an interest in that?
Eventually they will. Eventually, if they stick around, they will. And I can't see any reason why they won't stick around.
Yeah. Kevin says he's late. So, well, Kevin, if you're late, name it after me.
Did King Paco have a question? I can barely see the
here, I'll put it up.
Little monitor. It says,
oh no, it's not. I didn't put that. He keeps he He's trying to tell me that I need to make my own microphone, and I keep trying to explain to him. I'm like, Paco, I know nothing about making a microphone.
Hey, Bark builds microphones all the time on.
Yeah, I know nothing about. I mean, I would have to have the money to like have manufacturing of parts. Like, I don't know nothing about building a microphone.
I don't know
But
nothing about birthing no babies.
if I did, he would be the first one to buy one.
No, so what happens is if you buy some big lot of broken microphones, you start working at the radio station, and you see this box of microphones behind the door, and they go, "What are you gonna do with these?" You go, "Oh, you want them?" You get some garbage, then you could practice trying to fix them, and you don't have anything into it, but a soldering gun and a little bit of solder. That's how you get started. That's how I would suggest you get started, because there's no risk. There's no risk.
But you would make a perfect candidate for this, not me.
Why not?
Yeah, why not, Clay?
Because I don't know nothing about it. like
But
I'm gonna make the Clay Allen.
But you can learn.
RE
You don't have to do it on camera.
90.
You can just do it you don't have to do it on camera, and you can learn.
Yeah.
Basic electronics isn't that hard.
I mean,
I've got a box full of parts for someday, right? I had the wild hair idea that I was going to do custom microphones at some point. So I have a box full of different capsules.
So you were planning on building some microphones?
I still am. Still am.
Okay, well.
I wouldn't be the first one that did it. There are plenty of videos of people that just do very like basic microphone circuitry. It's like, here's a capacitor, here's a resistor. I'm just no board. I'm just going to, I forget what they call it. There's a name for it. I'm just going to solder them together, as components in the order they need to be in. I've seen it, and they make a very basic mic circuit, and you'd be shocked with a okay capsule and
how
a
good
very
it
basic
can come
mic
out.
circuit. It can sound pretty good.
I don't know. I feel
it sounds
more
like a future project for us, Clay.
I feel more like I was a really good truck driver. I'm not a mechanic. I don't know how to work on trucks, but I can drive them. like
so because we're coming up to the hour here.
We are.
So
there's a question
to
be answered here.
Go ahead.
No, is it what do you guys prefer? Craft over consistency?
Well, remember at the beginning I said that there's someplace in between.
I know.
I think in truth, those are nice.
That's great.
I think
I want a microphone that needs them.
It's someplace in between. It is a brand that has mastered production techniques, but applies the right amount of quality control and QC to it. And is that a road? I don't know. Is that a shore? Maybe. I don't know. Is that an Earthworks? Because you can get an Earthworks Ethos now for around $400, brand new. They dropped the price by half. So I heard the other day somebody said,
no, that's about right. But I think it's been that price for a little bit.
Yeah, to compete with the SM7B. I think the answer for me is in between, because there's a certain point, there's a law of diminishing returns. And you hear, like in research for this episode, I went and watched a whole bunch of videos from companies that do, handmade stuff. I had a whole list up, and now I moved my list. But there are a variety of, there's, I don't know, 6, 7 manufacturers that are still considered handmade, right? They say they're handmade, but that's what they talk about. They talk about, building them the way they used to, but even their microphones aren't as expensive as a $4,000 or $5,000 Neumann U87. But there are brands that are like, no, we will take a U87, we'll figure out the components, but like Warm Audio does it. Warm Audio makes a very nice U87 equivalent that I've heard video after video after video with the audio, and they do a really good job with it. And it is a fraction of the price of a Neumann because they're taking the best of both worlds. They're taking, mass production, the best of mass production, with the right amount of quality control and the right amount of part sourcing. and that's where I fall, in my opinion, because short of hitting the
No,
lottery, I'm not buying a $4,000 Neumann
but
U87.
from Philip, from your experience, that's exactly what Sony did.
Yeah.
That's exactly what Sony was. I remember when Sony was cameras, microphones. I remember when they were on the cutting edge
Hmm.
of that technology. Every TV station had Sony cameras.
Hmm.
You know, they might have Canon lenses, but they had Sony cameras.
Hmm.
But no, I remember when Sony was just untouchable.
Hmm.
Um, you know, because they really had great QC. Well, and as far as that is, I remember when the Japanese cars started kicking our butts too
Hmm.
because of QC and
Right.
consistency. Right? They got that manufacturing down for lots of reasons, actually. You know,
But that
um,
costs. I mean, that costs Sony. I can tell you, I was there. That it cost them a lot of money. I mean, Sony was known for the Trinitron, their televisions. They still are
mhm,
known for their televisions, but they're nowhere near what they used to be because they're it's you can only go so long not making money on an
mhm.
entire product line. I mean, one of the reasons that I'm no longer at Sony is because I would say this. I don't want to piss anybody off. Um, was because they weren't making money for a consistent amount of time on
their mar-
products they should have been making money on.
their margins weren't big enough.
Where there were negative margin.
Well, they weren't big enough. Yeah,
Yeah,
right,
Yep.
yeah.
right.
You can only lose money consistently for so long, and then something's got to change.
Yep.
I still think that they're an industry leader in things like cameras and imagers and stuff like that. But yeah, um, I agree. Uh, you you're not wrong at all. I just think that if you're going to be in it for the long haul without massively changing your business model, you've got to have a balance between the two.
Yeah,
Um,
and I also think some of these legacy companies have been around for such a long time that they might have the marketing figured out and know who their audience is
mhm.
because for a lot of, I'll say us, I'll include myself, for a lot of us, it's about, um, oh gosh, what's sort of a corny way of saying it, but it's who you love and who you want to date and what's that microphone that you've always wanted to have for whatever reason,
Hmm.
right? That's the microphone that I bought a microphone because one of the guys that bought it, stupid reason, I've got a good price for it, but I bought a microphone because one of the guys that voiced um, Optimus Prime in one of the Transformers movies used a Rode NTK,
Right.
and I bought one because I saw him in an interview, and I said that is such a cool microphone. Did I need it? No.
Yeah.
Is it a good microphone? Yeah, it's a great microphone. But again, I think that that's one of the things that these legacy companies have. I've always I wanted a Telefunken. Don't have one.
Right.
Maybe one day. But I don't have a lot of really high end microphones. Um, only one. But
Yeah, I think it also comes down to what I'm willing to spend. I mean, what you can afford at this point in my life. It's different. I mean, I probably 20 years ago, if I had had the fascination with microphones that I had with guitars, because I can tell you, I've spent way too much money on guitars that I don't play anymore, right? Um, and I don't know that they sound particularly better than the same thing that didn't have all the the fancy work and everything in it.
Hmm.
I, I might have a U87 AI in my mic locker, but now at this point in my life, I don't have that kind of
mhm.
loose change hanging around, so it's not an option. If Neumann wants to send me one for review, I'm happy to take him up on it.
Of course. Yeah.
Um, but and certainly I'll keep an eye out for one at a garage sale and whatnot.
Yeah.
but that's
I
not the
want
only
one that will accept one of those handmade glass tube.
Oh,
That's
you want a tube? You want a tube mic?
oh, I don't know. It just seems exciting. It sounded good. I'm a nerd for mics, so
Yeah.
and I just can
So
afford to be a nerd for mics.
so Kevin said the perfect mic for me is the mic that sounds the best,
Yeah,
fits the skill set of the user, and fits within the budget of the individual. And I think that's everyone's perfect mic,
Yeah.
yeah,
but we don't always date the perfect person, right? We're not.
right.
I don't.
You make lots of
I
choices along the way that weren't as good as you thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to grow a huge YouTube audience either just by exclusively reviewing Neumann high-end microphones or
Right.
Well, I mean,
multi-scope
it's funny
microphones.
because I think I was misunderstood because I've called several people this, and but one of the people most notably that everyone probably knows about is Bandrew.
Yeah.
I referred to him as everyone's favorite pornographer because he's using the mics that none of the rest of us have, and
Right.
we tune into his shows or his channel sometimes to see him use the mics that we don't have. And I don't mean it in any kind of sleazy way, but that's it.
No, yeah,
That's the thing is we're just getting a little peek into what that microphone is like because I will not have any of those mics probably. I mean, I do have a couple of the mics he has because he's reviewed almost every mic there is, but you know what I mean.
yeah,
It's like
yeah,
it does. It's like we like them or think they're interested in them. They don't necessarily have. If someone gave me $1,000 or $1,200 and said, "Okay, are you going to buy a TLM 103 or are you going to buy Sennheiser MKH 416?" Well, I'd buy the 103 because I don't need the shotgun. Now, if I were doing a lot of video, I'd maybe buy the shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
yeah.
It's like I'm if I were still making videos for money, I might buy the shotgun. But I also have a bunch of shotguns here. So
I
anyway,
I love the Sennheiser MKH50. I will have one someday because
Yeah.
for what I want to do for video wise, this has got to be the way it is. I mean, you have to show the product,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
yeah,
You don't do a
But
review
for
with
doing
with
other
the
stuff,
product
yeah.
off frame.
right.
But I'm an old videographer and I used to do it for a living and
Get the mic
I
out of the
just
frame.
love the MKH50. I love the way it sounds when
So the
it's
50.
right out of frame and
I think that's
um,
Tom. I think Tom Buck uses that too, doesn't
Tom
I
he?
Buck,
want
yeah, he
that or the
Sennheiser sent him
416
one.
is what I would like to have.
What's
Kevin
that?
said I said that or the 416 I would like to have.
But you know what, guys, and I blame you, Joe, for me doing this, and you, Clay, because you pointed it out to me. But because of your recommendation of this microphone to
Yeah.
Clay, I went and found myself a good deal on one, and I
I
got it.
saw one really cheap this past week.
Do you know this is not half bad out of frame?
Oh no,
With
it's
the
not.
gain turned up, it is not half bad. I mean, it's not a small diaphragm condenser; it's a mid diaphragm,
You know,
but
Yeah, it's medium, yeah.
medium diaphragm. Thank you. Um,
No, same, yeah.
it sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Does it sound like a Sennheiser MKH50? No,
no.
No.
but
That's
and
why
then
I still want one of those.
and it
'Cause I've
sounds good on
tried
my
that already with
voice.
that.
Next video, this will be the microphone that I will be using, not the Procaster.
I did want to Kevin had mentioned that he loves good mic porn.
Oh yeah, who
You know.
doesn't?
Yeah. See?
Yeah, I think Rode,
It's
Joe, is a Sony.
it's
Frankly,
incredible.
it's a brand that if I'm repeating myself, I apologize, but I think I said this on air before. When I think of all the brands out there and microphones, when I think of Rode, and it's not just because it's four-letter, spelled company, they remind me of Sony. Their pride in their product, the quality of the materials they produce, the price points that they hit, the way that they're revered. Their microphones are revered in a certain segment of the industry.
Customer service.
Yeah, really reminds me. They got amazing customer service.
Well, I think the weird thing about Rode is they have a lot of different kinds of mics, And many people don't know about their full product line, because I hear people who I would think would know better saying, "Oh yeah, Rhodes, the NT1 or whatever, yeah, they're not very good." Or I don't think very much of the company. It's like, are you kidding me? I mean, the NT3, NT4, NT5s, people use those in Hollywood for gathering sound effects.
That's right.
I mean, it's just like, come on. They do have great microphones.
They are a brand that if I were 10 years younger and looking to stay inside the industry in another industry that I love, I would go to work for them in a heartbeat. And I don't care what their product was that I'd be
Yeah.
marketing. That they could do. I used to get the shitty products when I was a product manager at Sony, because I could spin a good story. And so the difficult ones, they came to me, and I loved it. I loved it, even though I don't think most of my products were considered to be successful. They were generally one time, but I found that interesting as hell, and I'd do that for Rode in a heartbeat if I were 10 years younger. So still able to travel.
Yeah.
So
Look who's here.
Yeah, Bill. How you doing, man?
Hey, Bill.
hey, Bill.
That man is a wealth of knowledge as well.
Somebody say, "Know your Joe." Hey, know your Joe. Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
So have we helped?
So
Our
have we
audience?
decided? I don't know. I mean, for me, I love the whole concept of the crafted, hand built. It makes it unique. It makes it I don't know, unique. It stands out. Oh, I've got a hand built.
It's a story to tell for sure.
But I feel like I'm not the only one that would say consistency would probably win, because you said earlier, when you bought that guitar, you bought it because of how it sounded, and you want it to sound that way each time 20 years down the road, or if you have to buy another one, you want it to sound the same. You want it to be consistent as to what it was before. So,
But that was a $350 guitar. I mean,
Which is cheap.
That's a hallmark. I mean, it also applies to their $5,000 and $10,000 guitars, but that is built into all Taylor guitars.
yeah.
Well, it's kind of like Shure or Electro Voice in terms of their microphones and their consistency and their longevity, which is what we don't know about the other ones too, right?
Right.
Yeah, and-
Longevity is
yeah.
the thing. I think that's, I don't know. We'll see.
Only time
We'll see,
will
yeah.
tell. Here's the interesting thing, though. When it comes to brands like Fine and Mono and Bifaley, like I was doing more research on Bifaley. I'm fascinated by that company because that's just a brand that is owned by a very large audio manufacturer in China. That their primary business is not microphones, it's PA style audio equipment. Professional amplification for PA sound system, stuff like that. That's their bread and butter. Bifaley is just a brand like Pro Roar, and that
Right.
it falls under their
And
catalog of brands.
and MXL is not the main thing for Marshall Electronics.
Nope.
It is totally a side gig.
Yep.
Right.
They make a lot of cameras.
MXL, is it Marshall, like in the guitar amps?
No,
Okay, different Marshall.
different Marshall.
Okay.
Yeah.
My question about that is we have no idea because I haven't looked up to it. Is Fine a standalone? Are they the parent company?
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe not. Who knows? This is a story for another video. But
I do know that they're actually, so they're not. I don't know if I'm right saying this, but I do know that when I get correspondence from them, it's I don't know if I'm saying it right. Shenzhen Electronics.
Shenzhen Zuizha Technology Development Company.
There you go.
Founded in 2009, headquartered in China. Wow. So they're out of Shenzhen. Okay. Well, that's not unusual. That's like.
So it's not actually Fine, right?
No, it's Fine is a brand.
as a brand from.
But when you click on, here's the interesting thing: when you click on Shenzhen's Ouija technology company in the AI overview, it takes you to Fine. So
Hmm.
I don't know. Maybe they're the only microphone brand inside the company's catalog. I don't know. It's hard. These companies are so large, and a lot of times they're just they started out as manufacturers, and they're trying to improve profit margins. And one of the easiest ways to do
Yeah.
that is make your own brand instead of just building for other companies. But I don't know. And
Or
I
you
bet you
start,
they wouldn't tell the story. I bet you they won't tell you
or
even
you
if you
start
ask.
building, for someone else, and then when the contract runs out,
Mhm.
you start licensing and building it for yourself,
For
the
yourself.
CR78, the MXL CR78. I bought mine off their e-commerce website, where they were actually they were saying that you could buy this and put your own name on it.
Oh yeah.
Huh.
So, MXL makes microphones for lots of other people. So,
Well,
But
I'm going to
he's
do some research on them and
No, your
see.
Joe's pretty interested in Bifaley as well, along with you.
Well, we can talk about it. I should probably talk about it on my channel. It sounds like a good idea for a video.
Yes.
But yeah, I'll tell you one of the reasons, Know Your Joe, why I haven't done a video on Bifaley is I don't want to say something that is wrong, right? These are very large, complex companies that, they're like octopus, there are lots of tentacles that go out. And honestly, I've asked the few people that I know at Bifaley for clarification. And other than just driving me to the basic information that's available on the product page, I get nothing, because they're not interested in anything other than promoting Bifaley, right?
Right.
They're not even interested in promoting Pro Roar, right? Even though the same microphones. Um,
right, but it's a different company.
I don't know. I don't think so. I just think the salespeople that I've been talking with, the marketing people, are their job is Bifaley, and that's their job. So,
Hmm.
because there's three distinct brands. There's Bifaley, there's Pro Roar, and I can't remember the third one. I have to go look on the
That are all
product page.
part of Bifaley?
That are all part of the parent company, which is here.
I'd like to
Parent.
get hooked in with them, Bifaley or Pro AR. I call it Pro AR. It's just easier to say that way.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the reasons I was asking. I was like, how do you pronounce this?
I don't know. I just say Pro AR. But I wouldn't mind that because that's another resource, another outlet. And I bought one, a Pro AR microphone, and it's awful. But I never did a review on it, and I sat on it too long to send it back. I didn't do a review because I don't think it's the mic. I don't think it's a bad microphone. I think it's a faulty microphone.
But the Bifaley C414 that so many Mark Yoshim, the microphone assassin,
I
and
have one.
Joe, and
You have one of
Time
the
Preservation Society call. They just sing the praises of. There's nothing different. In fact, when you buy the pre-roar, I mean, I could be wrong. It actually says pre-roar. It's the same microphone. It is identical. It's because it's that microphone. It's the C414 25 millimeter capsule, same board, same guts. Maybe I don't have a P-roar, but I might even have the C414 logo on it. So
It says C414, but it doesn't. Mine doesn't have a logo.
does it say P-roar or Pro-roar or
Pro AR?
it's Pro AR. It's a lot easier.
I think that the only I did a review of the only. So I've got one that was branded Pro AR,
mm-hmm.
and I did a short review on that. I've not reviewed any of the other ones, but I bought the 414. I bought the V6, just because it looks similar to a Neumann TLM 103, TLM 102.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got I think it's got a 34-inch capsule, 34 millimeter capsule, 32 or 34. And I've got a couple of others, but like I said, I've never used this one before.
This is the thing that disturbs me potentially about Bifaley, is that most of their microphones are visual copies of Neumann microphones. Not all of them, but a big chunk of them. They're handheld ones. They're
The square flat one is an
AKG,
Austrian
Neumann.
Audio.
Yeah.
But they don't. Well, the 414 is branded like the 414.
It is.
The one that looks like the Austrian Audio, is not branded like the Austrian Audio in any way.
No.
And it's also got a big hole in it.
Big hole in the capsule?
No, in the body. Oh, it's the Fang Dong. That's what it is.
That's the third brand.
Fang Dong. I don't know if Fang Dong or Pro is I think is Fang Dong the Pro or Fang Dong the microphone.
I think Fendung is the Pro.
No, I don't know which one is the microphone and which one's the company.
You like get paralysis of the lips when you try to say the Pro.
I'm kind of joking.
No, I know.
Pro PROAR XLR cardioid microphones. It's $69 right now.
So I have you have the V6. I had the V5. I love the V5, and I'm not sure if the V5 isn't an original. It doesn't look like anything that I've seen elsewhere.
Correct.
So I think that's an original, but they have one that is like, it looks just like an SE. In fact, a couple of their designs are clearly not SE. Sorry, not SE.
Neumann.
No, it's yeah. I'm sorry. It's my brain's not working right now.
Yeah.
But JZ. Thank you.
Oh.
Sorry, JZ. They have a couple microphones that look like JZ. They have several handhelds that are clearly Neumann.
Well,
direct visual copies. They don't market them as Neumann.
And this one's fairly close, except that it's much taller and much slimmer than the 103. So from the side, maybe it looks like a 103, but from the front, it does not look at all like a 103. So.
So you said yours is the V6. Here we go. There, that's yeah. I don't know why in my head I was thinking of a different one, but yeah, is that like their version of it, like a TLM 103?
Well, that's what I'm saying, is it kind of looks that way, except it's much thinner and much taller.
Yeah.
So if they were trying to copy it, they didn't do a very good job physically.
You didn't do a good job.
And
well, no. I'm just
Shinsei Electronics.
No, they did. They did a good. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, they did. Not. I mean, I do have a ripoff of like a Temu ripoff of the 103.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you go on their company website, and okay, their C414 and S414s, those are clearly based off of an AKG C414, but they're not identical. They don't have pattern switches and whatnot, and they just kind of share a very similar shape, right, and color scheme. But then they have a microphone, a Bifaley U87 AI, that is clearly a U87 AI. I mean, maybe the head basket's a little different because Neumann is very litigious when it comes to that. And some companies have been sued, but if it's not identical, it's darn close.
So I just went to the Pro page on Amazon, and I paged down, and who's sitting there with the 414? Mark Yoshimoto Nemkov. His video is playing on their webpage. So
they're basically using the Time Preservation Society's videos. He did 2 or 3 videos on Bifaley. And they're using them. They're only using a minute of them, and not the best minute of them. I mean, his videos are wonderful, but if you're going to use it to sell a microphone, there's different chunks that do a better job describing it. Yeah, I mean, and he's very generous about it. I'd be less happy about a manufacturer just cutting and pasting my videos. But hey, these are high class problems. So
Yeah, right.
if only I had those problems. But to your point, I love the way the V5 sounds. I love the way it sounds in my voice. I really do. I think it's forget the C414 as much as those guys say they're great, both the 25 and the 34 millimeter version. And I'm sure I've got one. I haven't cranked it open to listen to it yet. I trust them, but I love the way the V5 sounds on my voice. Not perfect though. That little plastic window makes a buzz. Because,
Really?
yeah, because it electronic interface. You want to put something that's putting off EMF around it or touch it, it'll buzz. So don't touch it. But otherwise, other than that, it's great.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a cool looking mic.
I mean, I've actually considered taking it apart and putting a piece of mesh in there, in contact with the metal body.
I sent you guys a link to Shenzhen Zing whatever Fanwai technology.
Yeah.
I sent it to you guys because I don't know what the heck I'm looking at. So you guys
Shenzhen
might.
Zing Fanwei. Who's this?
That's fine.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And Kevin found this and sent it to me. But when you open this link up,
this is a Chinese website. Oh no,
brings you to what they make, and I don't know what none of that is.
Look at that
like
components.
Bluetooth stuff.
Electronics module manufacturer.
Yeah.
That's their Makes sense. So power interfaces, SD or TF card adapters.
I know if I sent it to you guys, one of you would be able to, because I was like,
chips, Wi-Fi chips,
yeah,
infrared sensor modules. A lot of these are available for sale on. I've seen them on AliExpress, or at least versions of them. Some types. MP3 decoder. Oh yeah, they're a component manufacturer, which is what I was guessing. You gotta put those components in something.
They're a component manufacturer for any kind of electronic components, not just.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is a. I don't know. I have to go through the whole thing here, but this looks like a specific series of types of components that they make. Oh, there's a shot of the factory. If that's actually a shot of their factory.
The green, like the one with the green, like the green floor. And
can't trust any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So DC relays, temperature modules. They've got a list of their customers: Huawei, Lenovo, Bank of China. That's interesting.
I'm very psyched that you said Huawei correctly.
Oh, well, it's not their brand; it's just who they sell to.
No, I'm just saying you said the name the right way. Most people don't know how to say that.
Don't be too impressed. I worked for a Japanese company for 20 years.
Yeah, so it's Huawei. Yeah, everybody looks at it and they're like, Hawaii? Oh no, it's Huawei.
It's just like Xiaomi.
Yes. See, so all those other Android cell phone companies.
But I guarantee
nobody knows about.
I'm not saying it like a Chinese person. I'm probably saying it wrong too. I know Huawei because I've heard it so many times.
Well, Xiaomi is one of them.
Yeah,
they make like these really good Android style smartphones.
Oh, they make everything.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they make toilets. That sing songs and clean
clean themselves and
yeah. So, okay. But so yeah, I'll tell you what, Joe, I will look into these guys a little bit more because I do find them very interesting. Obviously, the current tariff situation, especially if the president follows through on his threat to tack on another 100% tariff on all things Chinese that he's been threatening to do at the end of November, they're really not happy with us, and they don't really particularly like talking about. They're pursuing business elsewhere in the world, like a lot of companies have done. They're putting their efforts toward other markets that are friendlier. So I was hoping things would calm down and I'd get a chance to talk to them again, because at this point, I'm not going to waste their reps' time. Say, hey, tell me all this stuff, even though I'm not going to buy any of your stuff and sell it here because it's too expensive now. So, but I'll look into. I'll do a little more research. I just kind of hit a wall. I couldn't because it really is. There's company when I was looking at these guys originally, I came across 3 different corporation names other than Enping Shenzhen, the big one that you see on their product page. There's like I came across 2 other giant manufacturers that were also supposed to be, you know, further up the chain in who the company is. So they're these large, giant manufacturing groups and technology groups, and it's complicated. And you really have to have somebody who knows it to be willing to say, no, this is this. I did ask. I asked a couple of people on one of the big microphone forums, and I won't say what I got back because it's not all of it's great, and I don't know if it's all true. But several people on those places deal in the manufacturing side of things in microphones and audio components, and had some things to say. I just haven't followed back up with them to verify. So I don't want to get it wrong. I don't want to insult anybody, but they certainly seem like an interesting company.
Cool.
Multinationals are hard.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I was just making sure I was good. I think we're going to wrap it up. We're pushing an hour and a half. Yeah, this was cool. It's always educational. Because like I said before, listening to you two guys talk about stuff, I'm like,
I'm just asking questions.
I know, but you guys have a lot more knowledge than I do. And whenever you speak, I get to listen and try to retain some of that knowledge. So,
well,
fun stuff.
I used to say to my trainers, whatever you do, say whatever you say with confidence. Yeah. Don't bullshit. So
we appreciate you, Clay.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Appreciate being here.
I appreciate you guys.
I enjoy doing this.
Did you both get out what you wanted to get out and talk about what you wanted to talk about? And
sure.
I think so.
Stuff. Well, start thinking on what we're going to talk about 2 weeks from now.
I would tell you, Joe, I want to do a follow-up to the counterfeiting issue, the video we did.
You got more info?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we didn't actually go down everything out there, but I mean, like since that video, I was telling Clay that, another brand that I love, Rode, apparently there are at least 3 models, very commonly sold models, including the Rode Podcaster. Is it the Podcaster we were talking about, Clay?
The Pod Mic. Yeah.
Pod Mic, thank you.
Specifically the Pod Mic.
Is apparently massively counterfeited. And this one, the Procaster, and there's one other.
I would think it would be the NT1. That's such a popular microphone.
Might be. It might be. And then the other thing that I came across a video apparently where there's a brand. I'm not gonna name the brand, but apparently somebody walked through that you can, even with a fake one, you can update your firmware.
Oh yeah, you were saying that they like register.
I don't want to say who it is.
Yeah.
But there's a video out there. I'm trying to confirm it. And if that's true, that's damning. For the
if they bought the chips, right? If they bought surplus chips or black market chips, why wouldn't you and they programmed whatever software is in there, then you would be able to update it. If there's no
that's a level,
but if there's no to be registered on their system,
if there's no serial number control.
Okay, yeah.
There's not always serial number control.
Well, that's one of my big complaints with the brands.
I know.
I criticize Shure for is they don't.
But when the Rode NT1A, when the Rode A1A, AI1, the little single channel interface received an upgrade to extend its sensitivity and output, gain. I just think I plugged in each of mine and updated the firmware, and I didn't have to have them. It didn't ask me for any information or what was the serial number on the bottom or anything. So,
but I would presume that's because there's a handshake that occurs in Rode products.
You would think, yeah.
I mean, that's what I mean is if this turns out to be true, that's in my mind that it's just damning for the brand, because that means they're not at least doing something that has been being done since I first started working for Sony 30 years ago, when they
Or the
started putting
counter
chips in products.
or the counterfeiters have cracked the handshake.
They can update it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not a difficult thing to I mean, look, we do it all the time with little dongles that generate unique key codes to log into remote networks. This is not new technology. All they have to do is, yeah. So I'll find out and we'll talk about it. But I definitely want to do a follow
Yeah.
up on
Cool.
on the counterfeiting thing, because it's a hot button for me, and I know you said it's a hot button for you. And
Well, the
frankly,
good thing is now it's decided. That's what we're doing.
okay, there we go. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah.
I might come up with another wild hair idea. Who knows?
If you do, let me know. Give me a couple days, notice.
We got a couple of weeks before the next one, so
No, I'm gonna
For his
start
thumbnail.
working
He's talking about
on-
his thumbnail.
Yeah, I'm
oh, you're
planning
gonna
on
get the thumbnail.
counterfeiting. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but if you change, just tell me a couple days in advance so that I
No,
can.
that's fine. Create the thumbnail for the counterfeits, and I'll plan on having that. But yeah, I'll still continue to.
I'll be ready to learn something. I'll see what I can find to pitch in.
I also, when I'm trying to pick these topics, guys, is I'm trying not to do things that everybody else talks about.
That's
I know
fine.
it's not, we got a
You're
giant,
doing great.
we have a giant audience here, but I mean, I generally try to do a search for how many people have talked about this.
I was talking to my wife about it tonight or earlier today, and I said, I pretty much just leave that up to Phil. Like, he gives me the ideas, and I go, okay, and then I start doing all my SEO crap and all that.
My big problem. See, there's something that you know about that I don't, and that's SEO. I really I need to know more.
The only reason how do I put it? I've gotten, and I don't know if you're liking this or not, but whether we like it or not, we've either got to jump on the train or let the train run us over.
Yeah.
I've gotten really good, and I still need to learn, but I'm getting really good at using AI properly. Yeah. So I know what to tell it. I build projects inside of this stuff. I don't just ask and let it and I just take whatever it tells me. I really put my own research into it and put in all kind. That's where I come up with all my SEO.
Okay.
So I actually, this could be a completely other subject, but I have, and you actually can't do this. You can't connect your, like, let's say ChatGPT to your YouTube, right? Mm-hmm. But I established an account on Zapier. Zapier will communicate with my YouTube channel, look at my analytics, give me averages, and Zapier will communicate with ChatGPT. So now I have this chain where they can pull my analytics, pull up.
Clay, I would pay for a series of videos that showed me how to do that, because
I'm still
working on that. And analytics, most people are just hearing beeps and buzzes and clicks and pops, right? It's like they don't have any. I barely, and I deal with it in my projector side of the business, at least. What I do know about it, but it's perceived as being very, very, very complex, because it is. But I'm telling you, man, the one thing I created training videos. Maybe that's why I'm having such a hard time with this. It's like training. But let's put together a series. I'll produce them. I'll be the producer on it. You get your knowledge out, Yeah.
And I mean, I'm learning this stuff as I go. It's not like I came to this with prior knowledge of things, but
it's the best way, though. I mean, that's a selling feature, Clay, because you didn't go to college for it.
No.
You learned to learn how to do it. That has value.
If I find something that I want to do, I'm like, all right, how can I do that? And then I'll ask the interweb, and then interweb will say, you can't, but you can do this, and you could try that. And then I'm like, then I'm doing that. And that's what I do.
I would love to hear Kevin talk about how he makes the songs.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that cool?
I
think
have.
those
Yeah, no,
are so cool.
I just made one.
Did you? You made one too?
Yeah, and I don't think Phil likes it, but
No, I do. I thought it was great.
yeah.
I
You want
it
to hear it?
remind me of like, yeah, play it.
Man.
It reminds me of
Oh my
Cherry
God.
Poppin' Daddies, Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, you know, all that 90s 2000 pop swing.
Let me find it again.
Play it.
It's worth it. Stick around, Joe. It's pretty cool. Hang on a second. Let me just find the easiest. Oh, right here, my files.
I mean, I haven't played with Suno for a long time, but the last time I messed around with it, I couldn't even get it to make a complete song. So,
okay. So this is. I'll tell you what we did. This is Kevin's thing. Kevin's good at this, and then he sent me some, and I listened to them, and they were great. And then I thought, I really want to try to customize this a little more. So what do I have to do to customize it, right? And what I did was I went to my chat GPT. I put in all the information. I said, I do a live stream and an interview series on my channel, and I want to come up with a song for it, for like an intro. And then I said, well, everything that we talk about this, we talk about that, we talk about this, we've done this, we've done that, we've done this. Showed it a couple examples. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll take a video in my editor, I will generate subtitles. Okay. And then I'll export just the subtitles as a single SRT file. Then I'll take that SRT file that's my complete transcript of my video. I'll put that in my chat GPT, have it read that, and then ask it to give me all the information I want. A thumbnail suggestion. I want, give me keyword phrases, tags. This is how I get into this. Here we go. Where are we at? There we go. You're gonna like this, Joe. I'm gonna add. It might play right away, just so you know. So I'm gonna mute that music.
Lights come up, the groove kicks in. A rhythm rolls across your skin. He's the host with a plan and a grin. That's the sound of Play Allen. We're in the mix. Tap your shoes. News of views and the precious grooves. Dreamers, makers, gather your tricks. Swing with clay in the mix. In the mix.
I love it. I do. It's great.
So, did you like that, Joe?
Yeah, but yes, I think it's very cool, and I think it's amazing. But bringing it back to our discussion, right? That the AI is allowing you to do that without musicians, which is kind of too bad. But you could never afford to hire a band or anything like that. So it's really, really interesting that on the one hand, I love it. And then the other hand, as someone who owns a studio, I'm like, oh, it's too bad. You know what? But I can hold both of those ideas in my hand at the same time. Right.
Well, that's what led me to think Phil didn't like it. Was he said, well, as a musician and a very white man, I'm very offended. And I was like, listen, I get it, but I can't pay.
I was just busting your balls.
Right. Man. No, I get it. But I'm like, I'm nobody. I can't go say, hey, I need a band to make this for me. I can't do that.
No, I mean, as a sound designer, I think that the potentials are incredible.
And that is the free version.
Incredible.
Can you imagine? So I've done some other stuff for my wife. I never got to use them because I didn't like them. But it gave me when I did some for my wife, it gave me 2 versions that were like really, really good. And then it gave me 2 versions that were just like your basic AI, which is what you just heard. That was just the basic AI. The ones that I did for her, excuse me, that were basic, I didn't really like them. I was like, no. But the ones that were really good were awesome. But I had to like buy the top tier subscription to get those songs. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that.
I got to tell you, I was joking when I said to Clay that you know, how dare you, as a musician, I'm offended and everything. But the truth is 15 years ago, a friend of mine who he's still doing a podcast, same podcast, he asked me, because I'm a musician, he asked me to create some theme songs for him. And I used the tool at the time, which was SoundForge, which was basically just a whole bunch of samples, right? And I used it. I came up with an idea for a song and everything, but basically I used all those samples. All AI is just a faster version of that. Now, I guess the only difference is my only complaint against AI is the training, what Suno trained their AI on, they didn't pay for.
Right.
I saw an amazing story where just this morning actually, where the largest talent representing agency in Hollywood is capturing, for those clients that want it, they're doing these really high-end AI captures of the people they represent. And then they're helping them market and sell them for the same rate they get paid as a live actor, right? So you want my client's digital representation in your piece of content, your video game, whatever, that's fine, but you're going to pay him his going rate. And they also are working with a company that is building assets, but they're building them from scratch. They're training their AI on original assets. They're paying for those training modules, those training content. They're paying musicians. They're so basically their entire AI model is built upon a training platform that they've paid artists for. Is it comfortable for me that then that's going to be used to create more content? No, it's going to put artists out of work. But that's the nature of every technological advancement in this type of audio production that's happened going back 20 or more years. It's the same thing that happened in Photoshop. I mean, long before the term AI was applied to it, background generation.
Well, it even goes further back.
Fill and
in 20 years, like you go back to when, who was it? Joe was talking about this, or maybe I saw it on a podcast talking about pictures. Like, they used to draw them. They didn't have cameras. They drew them. And when cameras started coming around, the artists that drew the pictures were like, hey, wait a minute. That's what I do, and it just, things like that kept happening, and slowly and surely this replaced that, and then this replaced that. And it's like, there's no stopping that.
No. But that's the evolution of it. I mean, the fact is, this is just a tool.
Go ahead, Joe. I don't want him to.
But people still paint.
Yes. Yeah. People still write music.
Good artists still paint.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I think I kind of hope there's always a place for that. Kind of getting back to what we want. Do we want something that's handmade?
Or you're right.
Right? I mean, I've got a lot of kid art in my house, even though all of my sons are, buying their own beer.
Grown up.
Right? Yeah. But I still have, because it's handmade. Mm-hmm. It's from them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the stuff that's up is all framed. It is obviously kid art, but we love it,
Yeah. No, I get it. I'm not speaking against that. I'm just saying.
Oh, I know you're not. I just think it comes down to what you value. And some people don't value kid art or don't value those things.
I don't think.
Or going to go, or valuing someone. You could go on Etsy or go on to a variety of other places and buy a pair of mittens that someone has actually handmade and then felted. right? And they're probably going to be more expensive than going to Walmart and picking up a pair for $2, except that they're amazing.
Right.
Anyway, but that's my value system.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that really good songwriters and really good musicians are going to go anywhere. But all I'm saying is that this is the progression. It's not like this came out of nowhere. I mean, I remember seeing an interview talking about session musicians, and you listen to music for the last, I don't know, 5-10 years. Most of the drummers, they're playing to click tracks. They're not really playing. I mean, it's what we're seeing today is just the unfortunate evolution of it. I mean, most of the time you go see a concert and you see a drummer in a box and he's playing. He's not playing. There's a drum track and he's just there for show. I mean, I don't like it. I'd prefer that not be the case, but sad to say, Joe, probably that there are going to be generations not far now where kid art is not going to exist because kids will have access to the AI image generation tools, and that's what they'll use to create things. And that makes me sad because, you want to see the big blob of paper.
Turkey. I know.
Well, there's a whole bunch of things they won't be able to do when they grow up because a lot of that stuff is the background of creativity.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, entire industries are changing. Look at how the movie business is crumbling because people just aren't going to the movies for a variety of reasons. But the bottom line is, fewer and fewer people are going to see movies in the movies. They're fine watching them on their television at home or their tablet or, God, it makes me cringe, their phone.
I know.
There's a whole generation that sees absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I'm sorry, they're the future and we're the past.
Well, except that happened in the 70s and then movies got popular again. So we'll see how the pendulum swings.
Yeah.
So. Could go in either direction.
Yep. Anyway, I'm starting a whole new topic.
Whole nother show right there. We could talk about.
All right.
The good one too.
This was fun. Yeah, but we won't be the only people talking about this. There's a million videos on YouTube right now talking about
already.
All of this stuff.
It's already.
Okay, guys, this was fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
So we will reconvene in 2 weeks.
All right.
Peace.